Hey everyone, Ice King here, and welcome back to Frostcast episode 32. It's been a little bit. I passed my big thing I needed to, so I'm all good. Um, Ross is here, and we have a special guest, Tyrants on the Field. Joe, say hello.
Hello. How are
Welcome.
you guys?
We're good. How are you, man?
Doing good for a Wednesday.
It
Yeah,
is a
can't never
Wednesday.
complain, right? Halfway through.
Exactly.
So, hobby-wise, what have you guys been up to? Also, for anybody worrying about AJ, he's just feeling a little under weather. We told him we got this tonight. But yeah, hobby. What are you guys working on?
We have been. Well, we just did the unboxing of the new Crix models today, which was pretty cool.
Sure did. Um, they're ready to be primed after this recording. So
Which that's pretty exciting.
yeah, I think it's
So
the fastest I've primed a model after I bought it. So that's a new achievement. Joe, what have you been working on?
I have been getting final touches on my Shadow Flame Shard, particularly the cadre.
Okay.
So working on those tiny horses.
Those tiny horses, those My Little Ponies. Somebody commented on my post.
Exactly. So yeah, been working on those, and then also going back and forth, also trying to get the curse bound cadre fully done.
Very sweet. Yeah, I've seen both your armies. They look fantastic so far.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. They look good. They look better than gray, so I can't say much. I'm over here with the gray life.
Everything's better than gray.
Yeah. Look, I'm trying to come out of my rehab of gray armies. I'm learning.
aren't you painting Dusk Gray?
I've painted them blue tack to the base so far.
Yeah, they were fun in the little tournament, though. I can tell you that.
You
Felt
did.
good.
How many
Felt
times
good to be on the other side of Dusk.
the receive on the giving end, not the receiving end?
On the giving side, yeah. Felt
Yeah.
dirty, but it was fun.
Dusk is kind of dirty. But no, my Dusk are gonna be neon yellow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw the bases are coming along.
they are.
The little blue. What is it? Blue. What do they call that?
The UV blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be very. It's gonna be a very. It's gonna be a very warcastery looking army. So yeah, we can kind of jump right into it. Joe, I have you here because you are the expert and mathematician of War Machine when it comes to tournament coverage.
That's way too high a praise.
Nope,
But
that's exactly what I listened to your Podbean. You are. Did you ever watch that show Numbers?
yes.
You were Charlie, but for War Machine.
Oh, that's a frightening comparison, but I'll take it.
um. But yeah, like, do you want to go ahead and kind of give a summary for people here, or do you have any hot takes you want to start off with?
Oh, sure thing. The first thing I will do is I will preface it as I preface anytime we do a tournament analysis, that it is a peek at what happened during that specific tournament, giving those specific rules, that the specific availability of models at that given time, and the availability of practice. And it's a team format, so while it gives us a window into certain things, it should not be taken as the end all be all from a numbers perspective, in terms of the greater meta. But it is the best picture that we've had so far in terms of a large event, this largest event that's been held to date.
Yeah.
Um,
And just to
so
explain for
all
Ross, sorry to cut you off. Ross, the difference with a team format is obviously team, yes, but like you can dodge certain matchups. So like the lists you're building to counter, like that's your silver bullet, you can like set up in the team and be like, oh, I don't want to play against Prime Bloods, and then they can do their best to not put you against Prime Bloods, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
so
Kind of
you
give you what you want out of a fight.
yes, and keep you away from things that are sort of your natural predators. In the best circumstances, but This again proved out that Australia just somehow has a formula for figuring out the general meta.
Every 2 years or
Um,
something.
every 2 years they come, and every 2 years they walk away with the trophy or at minimum podium, provided provided Moops isn't on that team and declaring an assassination on social media before it actually happens,
Oh no! Oh
and then,
no!
and then proceeds to
Fumble it.
roll not sevens.
I mean, dice are hard. Dice are hard.
Dice are
Hey,
super hard.
the dice have a will, and sometimes that will is that you do not win.
But in recent memory, not me being an ancient man, uh, in recent memory, when the Australians go, they take everybody's toys, and this was no exception. They won it. Australian Thorny Devils was the team that took it down, and they took it down with a pretty interesting mix on their team. They had what I would call the big three. They had Dusk, Orgoth, and Wintercore, which were the top three armies at the event in terms of uh, instances of being taken by teams.
Mhm.
And then they had the two best performing legacy factions in Infernals and Exalted. Both of those were well over 50% in win rate. Holistically, for everyone that took them at the tournament, Exalted and Infernals were both above 50% win rate. Dusk was at a 50% win rate for the tournament. Orgoth was at a 75% win rate at the tournament if you discount
The mirrors.
their mirror matches. And then Winter Core was at a 49% win rate. Now, obviously, this team outperformed that average, but it is something to note in their selection process. In second place was the Swedes, Sweden Asgard. They were the ones that had taken everything down last year. Sweden's only loss was to Australia in round three, losing to the Thorny Devils. Again, their composition was the big three: Dusk, Wintercore, and Orgoth. And then they had Grimkin and Dark Operations. Dark Operations woefully underperformed for the tournament. The exception being the Swedish team. Swedish team had the best performance out of all the Dark Operations players, which is not surprising, as that particular player is ranked the best in the world
Okay. Yep.
in Dark Operations
That'll do it.
per long shakes. So a little bit of help there, but Grimkin was a massive performer throughout the entire tournament, the best performing legacy faction by far, and nearly a 91% win rate.
That's crazy. They beat Scorn from last year.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, they actually outperformed themselves from the previous WTC.
Because I think last year they were at like 60 or something percent. Because Retribution had like a 65% win rate last year at WTC or
Yeah,
I
something
it
mean,
like that.
was
91% is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, do you attribute that mostly to player skill, or do you think it's also a bit of the build and just the rules for those for that faction?
So absolutely, I do think player skill plays a major part in how well they performed as a faction. I'm sorry, 83%, not 90.
I mean, it's still
It's still a
well
Still,
lot.
above statistic, right? Yeah.
it's still a lot. It's a whale of a statistic. There were 7 players, 5 of them went undefeated.
Wow.
Okay.
By far the most player has gone undefeated. I think it comes down to a couple things with Grimkin. One, anybody that has a Grimkin army and is playing it currently in Mark IV is probably a long-time Grimkin player. It's not an army you pick up on a whim because it's very difficult to get a hold of all the models that you need.
There is also
Uh,
and like their weird like Arcana, I think it's called, right?
yes,
Yeah. Their Arcana, the
the
way
the other
you can like the sorry, keep cutting you off. Um, they don't have like normal command cards. They take the Arcana cards that they can like pop. Like if you kill one of their things, they can pop a card and then it does a thing. And like some people get caught off guard by that. They're not used to playing into that.
Yeah, that the quote unquote dark horse factor with them is very high because again, if you don't play against them regularly, you do get caught off guard with the Arcana, which basically are Yu-Gi-Oh trap cards. It's the best way to describe them.
That's
I
true.
like that.
For those Magic players, this is very much a blue-black deck.
Oh, rip.
What
They
do you mean?
want
That's like the most fun to play.
Oh,
Least fun to play against.
to.
Dang, is it fun to play? You know.
Yeah, so they're an army that all those players are high skill. Again, WTC is a high skill environment to begin with. You're talking about the best from your country in general going, the least that are able to go, and yeah, Grimkin just are a unique army from a Legacy Prime perspective that performed incredibly well on the weekend, and it continues to perform incredibly well. Yeah, Exalted was a 60% win rate to give Exacts, and Infernals were 47% win rate on the weekend. So
It was
they
much
they
lower than I
performed a
thought it was
little
going to
bit
be.
better. Little bit underperforming in a few spots, but on the top teams there were several 4-1 Infernals, and I believe one 5-0 Infernal. So
Yeah.
really strong army that can perform incredibly well as well. And again, one that plays just different enough that if you don't have practice into it or significant practice into it, they're going to outdo you in the matchups.
Yeah, Infernals is
Um,
a awkward matchup for a lot of people because I think it's even more rare than Grimkin because it came out after Grimkin and like right before like the big turnover to Mark IV. Because it was probably the last big faction release in Mark III, yeah.
yes, yeah, it was the last big faction release in Mark III. It necessitated the all of the Archons that came after and kind of blew up Mark III at the end of Mark III.
Oh, Void Archon, I miss you.
Well, some of the Archons came back. They just have less wounds, or in the case of
Yeah.
Orgoth, they have the same amount of wounds and less rules.
Yeah, Kruger's basically an Archon anyway, so.
Yeah.
But
And then not to neglect, Team USA Irving did come in third place in podium. First time the Americans
USA,
done that.
Yeah,
USA.
let's go on the
First
podium.
first time they podium since 2013.
It's
Oh
huge.
wow, that's a
So
that's a long time.
and special note about Team Irving, they were all Mark IV Prime armies. So it was Storm Legion, Shadow Flame Shard, Dusk, Orgoth, and Wintercore represented.
Somehow it's done,
So
USA.
huge congratulations to the team. They represented USA very well. They were a joy to watch. I definitely recommend checking out the stream that was recorded and is on YouTube for all of the rounds. The Americans' final round is up there against the Australians. It's some of the best War Machine you can watch. It's hyper instructive games.
Yep, I'll have the
All of
links down
those
below
games were
too.
tight. Yep, all of those games were super tight. The Americans only lost by a game, and in two of the games, a little bit of better clock management in one, and a little bit of better dice rolling in the other, and the U.S. is hoisting the number one. So not to take anything away from Australia, but it was very very tight that entire last round.
That's like perfect though. That's what you want. You don't want to blow out. You want
I
like
was
a
gonna say,
super
yeah,
tight
you
game.
don't really want to. You definitely don't want to see just somebody get stomped out the whole time. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome to see. The other side note is Canada Goose came in fourth place, which is very noteworthy because they lost their first round 0-5.
Ooh.
Like
Oh,
they got choked out round one
they climbed it back.
and climbed all the way back like a giant honking phoenix.
What do you think happened? Was it just a Like
They-
a whoopsie doopsie, fate just kind of got him, or
They got got by one of the best teams in this tournament, which was
oh, okay.
Brussels.
Well,
Round one.
that will do
They
it.
they got round one by one of the favorites to win the overall tournament.
Yep.
Yeah, that is mighty unfortunate.
It's the same thing that happened to England Lions. England Lions ran into Asgard round one.
It's always my fear with those big tournaments. Like when we played at Boker, I was like, please just don't put me against Jake round one. Please don't put me against them round one.
Well, I mean, your draw is so important to at least your first round draw is so important to how that tournament can go for you
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. Like like you're always going to be playing sharks. Like you can't take any team off by any stretch.
Yeah.
But there are those teams that have kind of like come to dominate, and those teams that are outside chances of winning. Still always a chance to win. Still always dangerous players, but when you fly halfway across the world and then you run into the favorite round one, that is not the most fun tournament you can have when
But
it
then
doesn't go your way in that game.
some
Yeah,
people
and
would
that can
just
kind of throw your game off, like for the rest of the tournament if you're not careful with it. Like getting in
Yeah,
your own head and stuff.
100%. That's why I'm super proud of Canada Goose for just absorbing the loss and then going, we're not losing again.
yeah, no, that's
And they
awesome.
did.
It's also good they didn't just choose to go in the fun bracket right away.
No, they very much stayed in it and kept their national pride very good. Speaking of national pride, Germany Eichenhorn was the fifth place team, and the sixth place team was England Lions. So again, even though England Lions lost in the first round, uh, they also came back to win the remaining 4 rounds. So
Heck yeah.
a lot of good Phoenixes in this tournament. A lot of good War Machine played overall. Like it
It
was an incredible
looked like it.
weekend. So super fun to watch. Anything that you want to talk about further with it, or any odd statistics you want me to bring up and go into?
So my big question is like, I know you talked a little bit about the years of the Kador Mastodon fixed a lot of like brought them to a good spot. But like, is Kador better in a team tournament than it is in like a solo tournament, or is like the Mastodon just like brought them up a bunch?
So I want to talk about the Mastodon specifically and sort of its effect on Kador in the wider meta and what happened in this tournament. So the Mastodon fixes a lot of, I won't say problems with Kador. What it does is it lets Kador exploit its buffs way better than all of those weapons being across 3 or 4 jacks. So prior to the Mastodon, Kador was able to bring 3 or 4 Great Bears that had some amazing shooting capability. You could bring these momentum cannons, you can bring these freeze cannons, you can bring a chain gun on one of these Great Bears, and they can do a lot of output. You can also give them a very decent melee weapon, and they don't cost a ton of points. The problem is you can't accelerate all of their speed. At most, you can accelerate 2 a turn by hot swapping superiority. You're not hit fixing all of them incredibly well. They're difficult to fuel efficiently because once you get to a certain mass of jacks, you're going to need an additional unit of empowerers. And the opponent can kind of, because it's awkward to place those 4 bearers because terrain exists, you can't always mass on the target that you want to mass on and get the benefit of um, any spell that you wish to on that particular warjack. When you consolidate all of those weapons into a singular warjack, all of a sudden those singular buffs that you have that are really good in Khador. The Khador rack is really exceptional. They all come alive, and you can do phenomenal things with that package. So then it becomes a question of, in the list that you have to deal with Khador, and the matches that you have to deal with Khador, does your opponent have the tools to bring down a Mastodon or to assassinate you, regardless of the Mastodon being there? If yes, you lose that game. If no, you win that game. And that, I think, has the biggest pull on Khador being at a 47% win rate for the tournament.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, we saw the Mastodon do really well as well when we were down at Atlantis playing the narrative. I can't remember the cat's name off the top of my head, but he brought, was it 1 or 2? I think it was just 1, but it might have been 2 Mastodons. That was functionally his entire list playing the defense, and he brought down, I think, twice as many of the siege engines that anyone else did.
Yeah.
And nobody could really touch him because Orgoth had to take down the wall, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So we saw the Mastodon do really, really well.
I remember that they
Yeah.
popped it out of one of the broken holes, and he was like, "Here you go." Yeah.
Yeah, and he just crushed it. I mean, I went over to go defend that side of the wall, and dude was like, "Nah, we're good, man. I got this. Don't worry." Okay.
Okay.
On it, brother.
Yeah, for context for that, we played in this giant siege event a couple weeks back, 12-foot table, just like constant, like 5 hours, just go, go, go. Because if you died, you respawned like right away. I was either on the other end of the table, it was one of the side tables, and it was just
I
go,
think
go.
pretty much always we saw you go to the side table, and then once you won or lost your side table, you came back to defend the wall again,
I never,
or attack it, depending on who you are.
I wasn't on a side table. They just kept putting me back on the main table.
Well, it's because you had the candy red Orgoth, and everybody
Yeah.
likes them.
Yeah, that's fair. But okay, so Mastodon helps a lot, and then the team does the team format affect Khador a lot too, or is it kind of just the Mastodon carrying that?
I think the Mastodon carries it the most. The team tournament helps it a little bit to avoid some of its more natural predators. That said, it did not avoid a significant portion of matchups that I would have expected it to avoid. It had 16 games total into Orgoth and Shadowflame Shard combined, so 8 games into each of them. And they won 1 of each of those sets of games of 8. So they went 2-16 against Shadowflame Shard and Orgoth combined.
Oof.
So that had a significant drain on their win rate. If they had avoided those matches, and I think in some of these were unavoidable, but I do think in some of the cases they thought maybe they had more game into like a Shadowflame Shard or an Orgoth than they actually did.
I would say, or do you think it's also like, hey, go take the bullet for the Shadowflame Shard or Orgoth because the rest of our team comp can't deal with them?
Always a possibility in the team format.
Yeah.
So,
and that comes down to the player too.
Case, right. In this case, I think it hampered the performance of Khador a little bit at this tournament. That said, one of the other things that hampered it was the actual list composition across the board. I think there was one instance of Tatiana, and Tatiana is pretty much agreed upon on both sides as a way better game into like Orgoth than Baronova or Savern are.
Okay.
Like both of those get eaten pretty hardcore by Orgoth. Tatiana can play a more reasonable game into Orgoth. It becomes a little more of a grind fest, which is helpful. So I think a little bit here, just the comp and style of list that was very popular. Orgoth basically looks at it and goes, "Oh, we see you've brought armor. That's kind of what we eat."
Yeah, Orgoth to do some munching. They do.
So,
cool.
And they can bring enough troop density where the momentum style Mastodon just doesn't do much into them.
Yeah, because
You
you
know,
can just base them and say, okay.
Yep.
And then probably my other question for WTC, and this kind of leads into Dusk and where they will be as a faction when they get nerfed effectively. This is my theory about Dusk is when you nerf Pig and you nerf Kruger, Dusk won't be as good as they are now.
I think that's a safe assumption. I will say that Dusk overall, they were the most played faction,
They sure
which also
were.
means
Holy heck.
they had, for context, they had 27 players. The next closest faction was Orgoth and Kador, each with 17. So they had 10 more players than everybody else, from a faction standpoint. So that also means they have the greatest potential for skill difference between the top player and the least played player.
Yep.
And that skill difference to sort of show up in the numbers, and we kind of do see that difference show up. They had a 50% win rate on the day. That stated a lot of what underperformed was Moraine. Moraine had a 33% win rate on 24 games. So she won 8 games out of 24 opportunities.
How many of those 8 games were
Seraphel,
from Muscles and Brussels?
uh,
Because I know they brought
that
2, because they brought the double Dusk.
they brought double Dusk, but Moraine was not played. Both of their Dusk players went undefeated, but both of their Dusk players also monolisted effectively.
Oh, okay.
For the Moraine player, Seraphel was the drop that they went with every single game, and for the Heleth Tyrus player, Tyrus was the drop every single game.
Okay.
And they both went 5-0. So I think there it was more, you had players playing it without having
The reps.
without having the reps that Moraine kind of demands.
That's an
I think
understatement.
I think Mor- I think Mor- I think Moraine is an incredible caster that has a very high skill ceiling. But I think her skill floor is also pretty high. I think Dusk as a faction is a pretty high skill faction, honestly. I think the Mercs coming in elevated Dusk in a way that you could kind of quickly adapt it and play with them, because they play with Mercs incredibly well.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty powerful Mercs in the meta right now. All that said, Dusk was doing really good things
Before.
at tournaments prior to Pig and prior to Kruger.
Yeah.
Um, I I think once Pig takes a bit of a nerf and Kruger takes a bit of a nerf, more than likely, I do think you'll see an adjustment in the meta. But I also think that Pig and Kruger also hunt Dusk pretty good.
They sure
Like,
do.
so,
And honestly, I don't think that those two models are what makes Dusk lists good. If that kind of makes sense. Like I think Dusk has a lot of tools at its disposal, and even if those get nerfed, like yeah, that list is gonna change. But I don't see Dusk kind of falling off at all.
Oh, no, no,
oh,
yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't mean them falling off. I just mean like before you nerf Pig and Kruger and then nerf a lot of Dusk, you kind of like have to look at them like once one's nerfed, see what's broken after that. Which now that we have the Cadre too, it's like because the Cadre came out around the same time as Pig, so it's like you got 2 good things at once. It's like which one's worse? Obviously, I'm going to be biased and want to defend my own faction from getting nerfed into the ground.
I mean, I don't foresee them getting nerfed into the ground. I definitely could see some balance changes. They feel pretty strong, would be a good word, if that makes sense. I do think though that they definitely have a high skill ceiling, but if you know how to use it, they're pretty dangerous.
I think Dusk is very good, but I don't think Dusk has anything that is meta shattering.
Yeah, like super boogeyman ish.
Super boogeyman-ish. Like, there are some gotchas, but they're not like real gotchas in the Mark II, Mark III sense.
Yeah.
Like, you've got very good casters. Like all of the Dusk casters are like A+. They all do things a little bit differently.
Not
The only one that's
Azeroth.
not is not Hazaroth. Uh, Hazaroth in. So here's the thing. If Hazaroth had some extra words on his feet, so that you could do something other than just heal the battle group and give it a cookie, give it a focus. Hazaroth would also be
A tier.
incredibly good.
Yeah.
He would be A tier, especially with the Eidolons going to Mat 7
Yeah.
previously. He would also be very good if they made the back weapon, the guns on the Eidolons, an optional choice.
Because I think it's
If you
also
could,
half the problem is like Eidolons are okay, but they're so expensive because you have to take a back weapon, and they're making you pay the extra 2 points or whatever it is per jack on a weapon that's like kind of mid.
yeah, if those tweaks happened, I think Hazaroth has a place in the pairing process in a team tournament. I don't know that Hazaroth is ever going to be part of your pairing in a regular tournament, at least with the rules that we have currently. If you were still being required to take uh,
Jacks.
3 jacks at 100 points, I think he might see more play.
That's a good point. I
Uh,
forgot about that.
so yeah, that had a significant impact on list building, and it also has a significant impact on overall performance of factions. Because again, when most of these things were designed and initially built out, the game was built that every 25 points you were forcing a jack selection or a cohort selection onto the army. So you were essentially taxing the army so that certain combos could not exist. You couldn't spam certain things, and you were also enforcing that jack quality was sort of critical to the success of a faction.
Yeah.
I am not advocating for that to come back. I would advocate for a relaxed version of that to come back. I think bigger battle groups are generally better for the game. But
Like
that's a personal
maybe
opinion,
two
and not
jacks.
everybody like 2 jacks. I think is a reasonable amount. I think most lists end up there fairly naturally.
I agree. And like also when pig is gone out of most people's lists, most people are going to replace it with a beast of some sort. Like I know for me, I add my arc node back into most of my lists.
Yep. Yeah, and for Orgoth, we go back and remind everybody that these tyrants also have Hunter Head, which is kind of exciting. I am very tired of playing with and against the pig, but I will do so until he is out of the meta.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's the general agreement with everybody. Did you see the Congo line they did?
Yes, which was absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad that was organized and done.
So Ross, they did a Congo line. They got everyone's pig from the tournament. And I think it was like 80,
Okay.
80 pigs, and they lined them up Congo style across like probably like 40 feet of board or something.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, hey, just goes to show that pig must be pretty darn good, right? I mean, 80 pigs.
It, yeah, I don't
It's a
know the
bit.
exact number, but it was a lot of pigs. And then like the next most taken model was Kruger.
Who saw that coming?
I
You know?
know, right? Crazy.
Yeah, Kruger was in a majority of instances where Kruger was allowed to be taken, and I believe he was in every pair. He was at least in the pair every time he could be taken.
He is a
A
good model.
classic, truly.
Yeah. Who apparently from my other game nights like can't kill a barrager for the love of God. So if you
Barrages to kill.
he had
They are
mortality on him. He should have died.
should have is a strong word, but yes, statistically, yes. But this is a dice game, which means it's going to have wild fluctuations of should.
If only I played Orgoth and I had a caster that could just let me re-roll whatever I want.
Yeah, it's good to be S tier.
Yeah, I say you want to go into Harusk's win rate? No.
So yeah, let's talk about the Sea Raiders. So if you keep the win rate in, it's 67%. If you remove the mirror, we had a 75% win rate on the day. Harusk himself had a 74% win rate on 47 games played. Sabrith had a 71% win rate on 14 games played. One of the Orgoth players to go undefeated played Sabrith all 5 games. And Oriax, much maligned, on 13 games had a 54% win rate.
Okay.
So all of the casters taken that were played, because Kishtar was taken but not played, had over a 50% win rate for Orgoth.
That's really good.
Orgoth was very good this tournament. They did not have anything that could be considered a natural hunter. Their lowest performance against a faction was 50-50. They had a couple of games that they dropped. They dropped a game to Armored Core. They dropped 2 games to Grimkin, so that was the closest solve anybody had. And 1 game was dropped to Blackfleet.
Interesting.
But outside of those 4 games, which I'm going to count as statistical anomalies here, with the exception of Grimkin, because I do think that there is some issues with Grimkin into us. Everything was a coin flip, or most of the time it was better. Coin flip wise, we're looking at Shadowflame Shard, we're looking at Dark Host, we're looking at Shadows of Retribution, and of course we're looking at Orgoth itself. So most of the 12 games, the solution was we're going to throw our Orgoth player at it and let the 2 kids fight.
That's fair.
I mean, why not, right?
But into the other new factions, against Khador they had an 88% win rate. Against Dusk they had a 69% win rate. Against Brian Bloods they had a 61% win rate. And the 2 games that they played into Storm Legion, Orgoth won both of those games.
Well, good on you, Orgoth.
So
you did good.
they performed very well into the bulk of the field that they played, and it was really Harusk's tournament. I don't think that Europe has a robust answer for Harusk played well, and I don't know that the U.S. has a robust answer for Harusk played well, as we did drop the game into Harusk against the Australians. Although that game was very, very close at points, Harusk was able to take it in the end, doing Harusk things, basically sitting there and surviving.
Yeah, he's kind of a little meat tank.
So he's a very hard solve into the meta as a whole. I will say this: Windstorm is an incredible spell on Harusk. It's an incredible spell for the faction, but
On Harusk, yeah.
on Harusk it does amazing things because it lets you deliver the army, and once the army's delivered, he then has a feat that says, "Can you beat +3 armor and
Super tough.
4 up tough?"
Yep.
And if you can, you're going to win that game. And if you can't, you're going to lose. And if you have not been aggressive enough because I've taken some type of shooting platform, or I have these really long sprays on these hypermobile boats, and I've gone up on scenario. You are either going to spend all of your clock trying to remove my guys so you can score, or you're going to fail to remove my guys, and I'm going to just win on scenario because I boxed you out of scenario. He's one of the few casters that can box somebody out on scenario pretty reliably, because again, he's going to be able to take the space, score, and then sit there with ultra tough models that go, if I make tough rolls, you just lose this game.
Well, yeah, that pretty much sums it up for me. Like my questions. I know Ross, you got any questions about WTC things?
No, not. I can't say off the top of my head. Nothing super crazy. Nothing.
I know you're just excited to be there next year with Crix, right?
Oh, you bet your sweet bippy. I'm gonna do some wild stuff, man. I'm gonna be up to no good. That's the goal.
That's what Crix does.
That is exactly what Crick should be doing. Is no good. Necrofactorum is going to be an incredible army, and I look forward to its effect on the meta as a whole, because I think it's going to be a positive change,
I'm
and
stoked for it.
it's
That's for
going to
sure.
cause some army reevaluation.
I mean, yeah, the new question will be, can you deal with 40 Mechanothralls? No? Okay.
Yeah, sucks to be you. Sorry, dog.
Yeah,
And I mean,
one of
like the
the
models look incredible too. Like it's gonna be kind of interesting. I mean, we've played a couple games of the Necrofactorium,
Those are
and
hard to say
you've got
they're
a
good
couple
games.
gotchas. What do you, oh, because the army's not fully out. Yeah, but
No, that and
we've already
like
found a couple gotchas.
playing in the Dusk, like Dusk is not a good matchup for Crix, new Crix.
Hey, I don't have a zero. I don't have a 0 win rate. You know what I mean?
That's true. It's true. I'm just saying, Rangers are your natural enemies for Mechanothralls.
Oh yeah, they're the bane of my existence, and I wish all the bad things happen to them.
See, and as an Orgoth player, getting Dusk to actually play living models just makes me very happy. Because it opens up so many more things I can do to them.
Yeah. It's a
That
double-edged
I
sword.
couldn't before, because they have to now deal with your nonsense, with Crixian nonsense.
Dude, it's our double-edged
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah, the Crick says, especially with a couple of the new jacks, like we've already found a couple gotchas. Bringing your Chatterbane and then, excuse me, bringing the Chatterbane and then running around and making your Hades shoot turn 1 after running, giving yourself, what is it, like an 18-inch thread or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
Might even be farther than that. It's got a couple gotchas.
Yeah, there's some super fun stuff in there. Have you messed around with doing the bunch of Crix lights with the machine gun on the back?
No, I haven't tried that yet. That sounds incredible, actually.
So one of the fun things about all of the Crix volume fire weapons is they have pistol.
Oh.
So you can charge in, use your melee attack, and then also use your ranged attacks without penalty.
So anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah, no joke.
Exactly. They Danny DeVito it hardcore. It's always sunny in Crix. Always sunny in Crix.
Yeah, I haven't even messed with the spikers too much at all, honestly. I mean, there's definitely some really good ranged weapons. I still think the Fellax is the best for the heavy jack, but I guess the spells aren't that deep when it really comes down to it in Crix. So bringing the sacrificing the Arc Note's not exactly the end of the world.
Yeah, and I mean you can still take one or two arc nodes.
Yeah, you're saying
and
take like
still
5 lights?
taking 5 or 6 lights and have some fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have to try that for sure.
I don't know if it's good yet, but I
It's
do
fun.
know that it looks very difficult to deal with from
can-
Oh
a
yeah.
from a numbers perspective.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
those the Raptors are so cheap. I mean, even if
Yeah.
you lose a couple, like, oh well.
Yeah, you take 5 or 6 of them and still have a decent chunk of an army left to play.
Oh yeah. Like you might even be able to get away with that many Raptors in like a 50-point game. I mean, granted, it'd be a majority of your list, but it wouldn't. If you're not prepared for it, that would be highly unfortunate.
Look, you only have 2 Raptors. Your 50-point game at Nova can only have 2 Raptors.
For now.
Yeah, let me
now.
know when you just magically find 2 Raptors that are the new ones.
Just ask around. You never know who's got
That's true.
Raptors in spare.
I have Raptors. They're just
Old
not the
Raptors.
new ones. They're not cool like the new ones. The new ones do look incredible. I am super stoked to paint them.
Yeah, I love the look of that army. I know at some point that's going to be another project for me, but it's not right now.
Yeah.
I am digging Orgoth and I am digging Shadowflame Shard. And once I get bored of one of those two things, then I'll get some Cricks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was playing old Cricks before, and then new Cricks. We started playing it once we got the rules for it, and then it's definitely been super fun to me.
I'm determined to
That's
be a
excellent.
trick, Dusk 1 trick for like the next year.
That's the way to do it. That's like the best way to get better is just work on one single faction. I say this as somebody that has severe faction ADD and
most
constantly jumps.
most of mine comes from like I know I'm not gonna paint after I paint Dusk. I'm not gonna paint another army in time for like it to matter. I'm just gonna stick to one painted army. Now I have been hearing the rumor mill, and I have no idea if this is true. This is like literally unknown. But if Rule Guard get a new army, I'm switching. I'm saying it now. Rule Guard get an army, I will swap.
So you're saying if there's a dwarf army available, you're going to be playing it.
If there's a Mark IV dwarf army, I will play it. I love
Oh
dwarves.
man, what's the thing with the dwarves?
They're just dwarves, bro.
I'm not tracking.
Dwarves are cool.
They do dwarvy things.
They do dwarvy things.
I can get down with that, dude.
Yeah.
I can get down with that.
You dig a hole? Diggy hole?
Perhaps.
So now they don't dig as much, but they are the supreme engineers of the Iron Kingdom. They were the ones that came up with building the Colossals originally to kick out the Orgoth.
I bet they still know how to dig some holes.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
They got machines for that, dog.
Yeah. I do already have my paint. Like when if this faction comes, I already have my paint scheme planned. I'm ready. We're doing green marble and gold trim.
That
sounds really sick, but also really hard to paint.
Of course, why wouldn't it? It's my army. I picked it. Do you guys remember in the Hobbit movies when they go underground in like the dwarf like kingdom and like all the green marble walls?
Yes.
That's my inspiration.
Best part of those movies were the set design.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Although I do get down with the old cartoon Hobbit, the like I want to say it's like 70s cartoon Hobbit.
Yes, Rankin Bass.
Yeah, that kind of gets crazy. I really enjoyed that as a kid. That was one of my favorite movies of all time. And I mean, I say that I still enjoy it today.
Oh yeah, same. That was a staple in our house. Was one that we'd watch pretty much continually because in the old days, my mom had taped that on TV for us, and then we'd just throw that tape in wherever we wanted and watch it.
Nice.
We watched that a ton, and we watched Flighted Dragons an absolute crap ton.
Hell yeah.
So I attribute
found it
that to my
again.
love of dragons.
I found the old Hobbit again. I can't remember if it was like Hulu or HBO, but one of the streaming platforms had it. and so I watched it again.
Is
It's
it
just as
Amazon?
good as I
Because like they
remember
have
too.
like they own They own.
Oh yeah, it might have been Amazon. Who knows? Jeff Bezos does do a lot of hood rat stuff, you know. Man is up to no good.
Where can I
That's
watch?
hysterical.
Where to watch? Not to where to watch it.
Yeah, I know it's
Apple
not War Machine
TV,
related,
Google
but
Play Movies, and Fandango at home.
no. Well, it used to be on one of them. I promise. I'm not crazy.
Let's see. I also have my VPN set weird, so it might be giving me more. Nope, I can only rent it on Amazon. So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe my dad made like a movie server or something, and that's why I remember.
Probably.
Still one of the
Just
best
shows up
ever.
on a Plex server. Oh, where'd this come from? Cool. But yeah, Steam Forts, you heard it now. Rule guard, marble, green, and gold. I'll do it. Sign me up. I'm here for it. I'm ready.
You're gonna be painted out, dog. After we get done with all these cricks, and then
Well, like that'll probably be like in 2 years because they still have to get through Gravediggers, new Kador, the rest of Crix, the 120s for Dusk and Signar, the 120 for Crix. Like they still have a probably significant chunk to chew through before I could see them announce like a logo for them like maybe next year Gen Con.
Yeah, I could see that.
And like
depending on
go ahead.
yeah, depending on where we're at in the development cycle, because again, we know 3 or 4 more armies coming.
Yeah, and we have all those
And
we have all these new cadre updates which we're about to get into. Yeah, we have no word. We just got images of the Signar Colossal. We have nothing on the Dusk Colossal, nothing on the Chimera Colossal. Probably not even a thought about the Crix Colossal.
what do you mean? They've already got the Kraken.
I wonder if it will be. I wonder what it'll be.
I hope it'll be something new, just because I think new is cool. But I mean, the Kraken is a pretty good model too. Like in all actuality, you know.
Yeah.
I think it will be. I think it'll be a fantastic model, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, because they could go more like factory look, like not a Kraken, but more like an actual, maybe just a giant jack too. Everyone gets a giant jack.
Could be a giant jack, or they could go off. They could go totally off board, and maybe it's something in the vein of the Kraken.
Ooh, what if they did like a tank, but that was like a walking factory, like a factorium.
Oh, imagine that, and it just spits
That
out
would be-
thralls.
It spits out something.
I would be down for that. So hardcore.
And like if like your jack's within 3, it has like an arm that can within 3, it has like arms around it that can like reach over and repair a jack that's next to it.
Yeah, it's just like a straight support.
Yeah.
Colossal. That could be kind of pretty
Has a
cool,
giant
man.
like ram prow at the front to like just bulldoze over terrain or something like wonky.
Yeah, I think that could be pretty neat.
Well, there you go. There it is. There's your idea.
Heard it here first. We're
Heard
calling it.
Calling it.
Ship it.
Yeah. But speaking of like timelines and stuff, the new cadre update for the Crix and Cador, they got jacks added.
Yep, Signar and Cador now have a jack in their
What are they called? I forget their names.
What is it? Is it the Annihilator?
That sounds
the
right for one of them.
It's the Avalanche. The Avalanche is the Kador character jack that is now in the Kador jack that is now in the
current
the current cadre, command cadre, which they have now updated the naming for these things again.
Yeah, and then the Signar one is called the Borealis. Which the Avalanche looks sweet. The big like grinder shield.
Yeah.
Oh, let me post this for you, Ross.
Yeah, send it.
Oh, there it is.
No. Oh yeah, I like that a lot.
So this is a question. I don't know. I think somebody had answered it before. Do you know what they're doing with like people who pre-ordered the cadre with during their big pre-order window? I heard they like said people to check their emails for that. I don't know if you heard anything different.
The last that I saw is I think they are updating people to the new cadre configuration
Okay.
and informing them via email. But that is my understanding. I could be totally wrong on that, but that is what I remember reading today.
I hope that's what they
in,
do. That sounds
in
like
the
a
little
good call.
update. Yeah,
But go ahead. Go
they
ahead.
have also made some changes to their other cadres to update them to all be 30 points.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I didn't see that.
yeah, so if you look at them, a couple of them have changed, like the Moraine box set now, the Dusk cadre no longer has the commander in it. So the Mage Hunter commander
Ooh.
is now a separate piece.
I
Is not in that box. But everything else from the cadre remains the same. For the Orgoth Cursebound cadre, the Groton Keeper has been removed from that box. The Champion is still there, and Alexis is still there. But they did so to make them all 30 points so that they can get to a 30-point starter-friendly format more rapidly. So all of these are designed to play with and against in 30-point games each other and the two new starters that are coming out in the two-player starter for Kador and Signar to start.
I don't know if I like that.
It is. I have.
Put it
I have
out. Put
some
it out
heart.
there. This is open, safe zone.
I have some heartburn with it for a couple of reasons. One, these were existing products that I think had a pretty fair price point. Now they have adjusted the price point to all be $99.
I like that.
Um,
That's a cool thing. Make it easy for people.
and that's 99 US, and of course it's going to change by the area that you're in. But they'll all be the same price point. A few of these were a little cheaper, and a few of these were a little more expensive. They have normalized them to all be 30 points and all be at the $100 mark, at least from a U.S. standpoint. That I'm fine with. I'm fine with the repackaging they've been doing as they're trying to market this game as best they can. From a productization standpoint, I'm also fine with it. From a playability standpoint, I think you were better off having the Groton in the box, and the Groton Keeper in the box as opposed to the Groton Champion. But that is a niggle for me. Um, but that's just a philosophy difference between myself and what they went with. But
The
it's
lack
fine
of
from what
commanders, like, ouch, because that's like, to me, that's like, as a Dusk player, I'm like, not having a commander. A commander's in every one of my lists, and maybe he's overpowered, sure, but like, he is in every one of my lists. That is a fantastic model that like you now just have to get separately.
he is the best 4-point support piece you can play as a Dusk player.
Yeah, but I don't. But with the price reduction, that actually equals out to I think cheaper actually, because I think it was 120 before,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. So
he's only 15, so it saves you $5 by buying him separately now.
by contrast, the Orgoth one was like 109 or something like that before.
Yep.
And then the Groton Keeper's a $35 model. So it does
Really?
not it does not feel good.
Ouch. Like I got that for the Apotheosis casters, but for the keeper?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the best part.
I mean, it's not the
So yeah,
worst part, which we can get into next.
no, not the worst.
Um, and the worst part, and it's not even a bad part. It's kind of just like a feels bad. is like the cadre for the Chimera getting resized. It's great for new players. Fantastic, because they were too small. But, and you can take over from here.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's talk about the history of the horses.
I'm gonna go ahead and lean back and grab my popcorn.
So the Shadow Flames cadre is all of these awesome dragon centaurs. Really cool looking models, really cool looking renders. When you opened up your cadre box, you were greeted with some short kings, some absolutely tiny, by comparison and by expectation, models that looked undersized on the 50 millimeter bases in which they came. They looked in such a way that my expectation was it looks like somebody messed with the file before printing, and they were doing something in it and maybe had the scaling down to 70-80% of the original file size, and they may have printed in bulk, and it wasn't caught until later in the process, and at that point they probably had too many to redo it. That was never confirmed, but we do have this ownership transition, and one of the first things they're doing is they've resized the cadre box. Awesome.
But not to put our tinfoil hats on, but suspicious. Some might say.
A little suspicious. They have gone through and done a sizing adjustment. But what that means is, if you were like me and only bought one box at launch for this, you are now going to have mismatch models. You're going to have fun-sized and regular-sized horses. And while I think it is great that they are fixing and addressing the mistake that was made, the OCD in me, the mismatch is going to bother me long term.
Yep.
I know that about myself. Additionally, it is frustrating that we are at this point that this is occurring. For everybody that has bought previously, and for those that have bought two previously, now they've got a choice to make of, do I get upsized models or do I keep my little short guys? And that's everybody's budget and everybody's desire to paint those things again is going to vary.
100%.
That it's frustrating to me that, one, they never admitted that this was indeed a mistake, at least under the old regime, which is fine. But it was pretty obvious to anybody that has ever 3D printed that something happened.
See, my theory was
This
they printed them smaller because they were worried about breaks and mispacks. I didn't think about like somebody just accidentally clicked the wrong file size. I thought there'd be more checks and balances for that. Maybe there are. I don't know. But my theory was they have these big long things. If you make them smaller to fit into a box, they won't break as much, and then they don't have to replace them as much.
the reason I say the file scaling issue is because I know it has happened at other games companies.
Okay. I mean, it happens
Because
to me
I
when I
know,
print.
and I've done it. Like I've done it.
I've done it. Yeah.
I've done it printing myself, but for another company that I've worked with in the past had that occur on one of their models, and they ended up doing a full reprint of it in the correct size. Got all of those out, and that was what was actually sold. And anybody that bought the previous one got a fresh one for free. And then they used the big ones as like an April Fool's Day prize. Like they sent them out in April Fool's Day prize packs, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And they made it a whole thing of like, this is the giant
They owned
version
it.
of this model.
Yeah. I kind of like that. That's kind of dope.
So mistakes can happen, but it's how you execute and
Because it's a rough
and
situation to
arrange.
deal with. Like, because it's like a lot of people have that cadre. It is at WTC. Like a lot of people have that. There's a lot of that model sold.
It
Well, I mean,
is
put yourself in Steamforge's shoes, right? Like, what do? Do you continue to print the small ones that everybody,
Probably doesn't like.
does conspiracy theories and they're like, hey, this model looks goofy, or do you fix the problem? I think it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So
100%. I think let me be very frank. I think they made the correct call
100%.
in changing the model to the proper scaling. My frustration is more the previous 5 months that we've had of the issue.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
I feel like it should
that's
have been
my issue.
addressed sooner, and I think that's the biggest. Because that's probably if it was addressed sooner, they'd have less mispacks to do, and like I feel like that was the big thing. Because like it's like I
Right.
get it from a business perspective. You can't resend out per person 6 more models that are like that much. That's a lot of mispacks.
Yeah.
yeah. And I
That,
mean, what are you gonna do? Just have everybody, all right, honor system, everybody. If you've ordered this, let us know so we can send you a new one.
I mean, you could
You know,
pull up order numbers and like you could make them have an order number. Because
I
like
guess, but I still think that would be a tremendous amount of effort and time.
yeah, exactly. It's
A
effort, time,
tremendous amount of effort
and
and time.
all that printing and all that resin and all that. That's like all that
Yeah.
cost adds up a lot. I get business perspective why they don't do it. It feels bad.
I think it's more of a time. I mean, when you look at it, the resins, I mean, yeah, resin isn't cheap, but you're talking time on printers that could be printing orders that are already purchased. And if you're behind on prints or you've got a big order volume coming in, can you afford to take all your printers to print repacks that you're losing money on, even if the resin's not super expensive?
And they definitely have a lot of orders because they had that giant pre-order window, and they were like, "Oh, we have a lot to print," and then that's when Crix got pushed back.
yep. Yeah,
Worth the wait.
they've been making a ton of sales, and that is awesome. And I think this is the correct move. And I do think from a business standpoint, I'm not asking for anything on that end. I understand the economics of it. It's just frustrating as a consumer that it
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
and that I'm glad you're correcting it. But in the correction, you're not gonna be able to make everybody happy. But for new players, I think it's great. I also think it's great that in the box set you're gonna get a second conjurer.
Is that what that is? Because I
That's
saw the extra model.
Yeah, you get a second conjurer in it. It doesn't mean the conjurer's rules are any better, but it does mean you get a second one of them. Um, so it
Well, you know what the secret is, right? To fix this horse problem, you just have to have a buddy that also has horses. You can
exactly
Rochambeau or figure out who likes the small ones. And
Ooh.
one person has 2 small ones, one person has 2 big ones.
And you
Problem
match them
solved.
to their height in real life. Of like you short friend.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Short
So
friend
like
gets the
age,
short horses.
it's
Problem
actually
solved.
perfect because AJ has the short horses and he's like 5 foot tall.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yep.
That is not bad. So yeah, that is my quasi rant. But I speak like very active in the Chimera chat, and it's been a big topic for a long time.
I'm
It's our
sure.
favorite joke to make about the size of these horses, and then it came out, and now, yeah, we're all happy it's getting fixed, but there is an underlying like irritation to it.
What is it? I saw somebody because I mean I posted about this because I was like that was my favorite news seeing that resize because like I'm super excited for that because they needed that and somebody was like, man, My Little Ponies are gonna be perfect, and I'm like, please somebody paint the old ones like My Little Ponies just for the meme, for the love of God. Like do each one, do whatever. I don't even know their names. I like Sparkle something, Princess
You're not a My Little
Mononoke.
Pony fan?
Are you? You got the names
No.
for me? You
No,
drop it
I
down for
can't.
me? Okay.
I can Google them though. I got the power of Google out here.
Beware the power of Google and My Little Pony. That is
Dangerous
Yes.
game.
not,
Yeah,
not
risky
a
waters.
dangerous game, sir.
I'm a gambling man.
But yeah,
I
I
don't
mean like
always win though.
I want somebody to paint them because I'm getting Gravediggers. I'm buying them for sure, and I cannot wait to paint them. And I'm not telling you people how because it's gonna be the greatest meme, and it's gonna be a very much if you know you know.
We've already talked about it.
Yeah. I don't know if I
I'm
told
gonna
you.
tell. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna tell.
Have we told you, Tyrants?
Yeah, we talked about it.
I don't know that we have talked about it, but I don't want you
Yeah,
to out
we'll
yourself.
talk about it after. It's gonna be hilarious because it's gonna be if you
It
know
is
you
pretty
know.
funny.
I can't wait to bring them just to show
I-
off and be like, what? And then just get the looks.
That is an army I want nothing to do with in terms of play, but I would be up for like painting some of those jacks.
Yeah, I'm buying Kane's Daughter because like punk rock girl in War Machine. Gotta have that. Got it. And Plugger looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
What kind of turns you off on him, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, play
So
style. Yeah.
I hate Signar. Like just
Okay.
at my core, from a fluff level, from a general design level, from a how they're marketed and positioned within the game. Have disliked Signar from day one. The From a playstyle perspective, like I don't know what the drop mechanic is going to be.
Oh, they have
But
Deep Strike, by the way.
Oh boy, they're gonna have a deep strike mechanic, which is I played a lot of 40k, and
Yeah,
I played a
know
lot of
about
deep
it.
strike. I played a lot of deep strike armies.
Dog, I played
Oh,
Deathwing.
oh, you
I'm pretty despicable. I'm hated among my friends.
see. I played a true to form 9th company, or sorry,
Okay.
10th company. So like I had in 5th edition, I had a Space Marine army that played like Eldar because it was mostly scouts backed up by Terminators. It was my first in 10. It was amazing to play, and it was Ravenwing themed. So
Oh, nice. That's a good color scheme. I really do like that. The like cream white with the nice charcoal like raven black.
yeah, it was a fun army to play. It was not a fun army for my opponent, but it was a fun army to play.
Yeah, I used to get baptized. It's funny because 40k I used to get baptized by the metalists. My buddies all played super meta, and just kind of like wiped the floor with me a whole lot because I'm a dumb kid and I don't know how to build metalists, and I sure as hell don't have the money to play Warhammer, right?
Yeah.
And then I come over to War Machine, and Taylor's out here just blasting me with meta dust lists, meta dust list.
Look, I am a terrible first opponent. I don't know how to dial it down. I'm fully aware.
Look.
AJ's had a one-on-one with me. He's like, "Hey, you got to be a better person." I'm like, "I know. I'm trying."
He says, "Don't worry, dog. I'm only bringing 2 units of cats this time."
So this is a point I do want to talk about while we're here on the cadres and the cadre switches, because you can't play nice with others. I am glad that they are formatting the intro level, the 30-point level, codifying it to a pick up a box and play format,
Yes.
as opposed to build the most degenerate thing you can at 30 points.
Yeah, I think
there are some pretty despicable folks out here in these here woods, you know.
Oh, I'm one of them too. Like I don't tend to pull punches very easily or very well. I can, and I will, but if I have a list building opportunity, it's very hard for me to
make fun things.
build something absolutely terrible on purpose. I've built terrible lists before. Don't get me wrong.
Just not on
But
purpose.
Well, like the way
not
I
on
look at
purpose.
it, and I'm joshing, right? Like
Yeah.
I think not pulling punch. If you play, it's like playing strategy games on easy mode, right? If you play them on easy mode, you're not ready for the hard difficulty. If you get used to hard and then you get the easy matchup, you're used to hard. You know how to play it. I think there's something to be said about learning from people who don't pull punches can still be good.
And let me
It just kind
explain
of depends on the person.
my training experience of like prepping for my first Nova. I played against AJ, who is just surprisingly good at this game.
Pretty
even though
ridiculous.
He doesn't play this game at all, but he just knows the game very well in and out. Like I banged my head against that wall for 2 years till I finally beat him once, and it was with Dusk for that matter. Like I needed that. And then I played against this dude named Akers, who he doesn't tell you what you're doing wrong until you've done it wrong, and then all he does is do that typical like disappointed dad sigh at you, and then beats your face in for the rest of the game. So like me practicing for like conventions is just like me constantly losing.
That is the best way to learn War Machine. Just
I think
constantly
so.
lose.
I genuinely agree with that.
You learn far more from your losses than you do your wins. All of that said, I am also of the belief that the first game of War Machine somebody plays, they should probably win it. Just gives them that psychological candy, that little dopamine rush of,
Yeah.
hey, maybe I can be good at this game. And then, then you can start beating them to death.
It's like when
But
you teach a kid how to play Mario Kart, you give them your first win, then you never let them win for the rest of their life.
Yes.
I sense a little bit of childhood trauma in that, but that's all right.
As a father of 3, I can say that I have continued to provide that trauma to my children.
That's character development.
That's right. If we don't give wins in this house.
Yeah, but then you earn it, right? Again, that's like something that I think is important, is that your wins shouldn't feel given, right? Like when I beat Taylor, usually it's by accident, and I don't even realize I've won until the game is done. But it feels good, right? Because I know I earned it. And I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on that, I guess.
100% agree.
Yep, that's.
I definitely have been trying to be better about like when I play locally. Like if I'm playing like at one of my stores that I know they're like not competitive, I'll bring a fun list. Or I'll bring Moloch from Orgoth because he's terrible. But like he's fun. He can walk up and just like tickle something and then make it turn on itself. Like that's cool. But like I'll try to bring like
fill assassins.
I don't do that against you. That's for sure. I got that. I haven't played.
What do you mean?
I haven't played Cyrafel into you, so let's just start there.
That's fair. That's fair.
that is the worst caster for new players.
Yeah, that is the closest thing we have to a Haley 2 experience in Mark IV, and it's nowhere near what that experience was.
That's good. On a side note for Cyrafel, I still hope she gets some changes because I want her to be more friendly to everybody. I don't want her to lose her tricks and shenanigans, but I think either the wording something needs to change with her. It's just so she can be like a new player can be like, that's a dope model, and also be able to play it and understand what's happening. Because like playing into her is not fun. Playing her is very awkward, and kind of just watching your opponent how to think about for half the game how to deal with your feet.
Yeah, she is. See, now I don't think there's much wrong with her, and I don't think that she is overpowered.
I'm not saying she's overpowered, but like for a new player who's just like you're both 30-point, 50-point games, your opponent drops Cyrafel. Cyrafel runs up in feats, is now defense 16 against shooting. That's just not a fun time, but that's fine. That's a rule. That's good. But like you can't walk toward me, and if you do, I get to hurt you or move you. But if you walk away from me in a certain way, it's a cool feat and you can get around my feet. It's just like a lot of thinking that I don't think, or like if you place your models correctly with the building and the base to base, they don't get moved. It's a lot of niche mechanics that just new players are not going to have.
Right. There's a lot of nuance to her from the how you beat it and how you play into it standpoint. But that is also an opportunity to teach that new player those intricacies and interactions.
Yeah. And you can also make the argument that like just don't play Cyrafel into a new player. And I'm like, okay, that's fair.
I would make the argument, yeah, don't play Cyrafel into a new player unless you are using it as an instructive game where you are teaching them about the interaction of, hey, this guy does this on the feet. If I damage you, you get knocked down. If I don't damage you, you get pushed. You get pushed back. So how do you stop getting pushed? And then you instruct how you stop getting pushed.
You play Chimera.
Yes, that's part of it. Well, that's how you don't get knocked down.
That's true.
The how you don't get pushed is positional.
Yeah.
And those are skills that you're going to need in the game regardless. So it's a great teaching opportunity, but you have to teach it. You have to use it as a teaching game. If you're using it because you want to win a 50-point game, then I think you need to evaluate your reasons for playing this game. if you're not a new player playing it
Yeah, you need to go back
at
to
50
40K
points,
and keep that attitude over there.
but if you're trying to bring somebody along in the meta, I think you can use it as an instructional game, but it's not something that you play just to play. Now, if somebody has done a 50-point tournament that is not for beginners, and you guys are just trying to crap on each other as hard as you can, yeah, then play your Cyrafel, and everybody knows what the deal is. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But I like Cyrafel a lot.
She's such a cool
As
model.
both, it's an awesome model. It is an awesome play design. Like, I really like her design. She is a really good control caster that is not overly oppressive, but just oppressive enough that it gives you that good feeling when you beat her,
Yeah.
or you come up with a strategy to beat her. Um, and using her is not brainless.
100%. That
Like,
I agree. Yeah.
so I think she's very well designed from all of those perspectives. Like, even if you took her feet away, she's still one of the best casters in Dusk because she has Force Hammer and Telekinesis.
Yeah, she makes and like before Pig was a thing, she ran Magnus and made Magnus threat 15. It was a really good because it was you could put arcane propulsion on Israfel, cool. Range 14, maybe 16 Israfel on a stick all the time for free. And then you have a 15-inch Magnus on the other side of the board that's just a 15-inch Magnus threat. That's just you're gonna not gonna have a good time. Um,
Yeah, Magnus is a model I want to get on the table more once Pig is away.
yeah, I think
Uh,
if I keep running Zyrafel, depending on what happens to her, I'll probably swap to Magnus.
yeah, I can see that. That was also pretty well a 50-50 split at WTC.
Oh, for
Just to bring
Zyrafel?
it for Cyrafel, there was a lot of folks running Magnus. Just about as many folks running Magnus as there were Pig with Cyrafel.
Very cool. Yeah.
Again, a 15-inch threading a 15-inch threading
Super
Magnus is
Jack.
a
Yeah.
very different Magnus
And for all the
than
commenters,
the
Invictus, we know. That was not actually Magnus getting sent up there by himself on his little moan 30 mil.
You can't prove that.
So I am not a fan of the art for the Maelstrom. I'm gonna be honest. It looks like we have Mastodon at home. That's
I don't know. I really like it, mostly because I love the giant hammer.
the hammer is cool. Like, I'd love Colossos realizing that their fingers move and can pick up a weapon.
It is, but what's funny is it's bigger than the Mastodon. And I'm like, that's I usually Kador has the biggest jacks in general, and then like for Signar to be like, nah, we're bigger.
It's those leg extensions.
Well, it's that the Mastodon's legs are like very like duck, like bird hunched over, and then the Signar ones are like more like a human.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm just glad that the jack legs aren't skinny anymore.
that's yeah, there it is. But that kind of wraps up all the new stuff. We can get into the last thing, and it just came out today because Primecast came out. I haven't had a chance to listen to all of it. The only thing I've heard of note that was like really interesting was the P3 paint line will be a Kickstarter to start. To start, like I think the Kickstarter. I think I saw. Hang on, let me read my other chat that said this. Kickstarted before end of the year.
Okay. So I will say this: I am very glad that they are rebooting P3 Paint. I am very glad that they are getting Steamforged Games as an entity its own paint line by doing this. I am not a fan of the Kickstarter model for this, but I understand it from a business perspective, particularly the way that Steamforged Games is sort of built and how it monetizes itself. This is a pretty risky venture to get into paint manufacture, even though it's an established brand. It is a brand that has kind of come in and out of the market a little bit over time, depending on your region. And having a reintroduction Kickstarter also gives a pretty good gauge as to what the market demand will be for this paint. We're in a very different place with introducing a paint line than we were 10, 15 years ago when they were fewer and farther between.
Yeah,
Now,
back in the day, paint lines were like it was you did Citadel or you did Citadel for most
yeah,
miniature painting.
Citadel and Tamako. These are your options
Yeah.
outside of like craft paint.
And then Vallejo like snuck in, and like it was hard to find though because it was mostly a Spanish-based company. And then like Vallejo became like the paint to buy for a while, and then like probably like I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, everybody has good paints.
Yeah,
Like Pro
paint has
Krill,
gotten
AK-47, Interactive, or that's AK Interactive, not AK-47, not that. Okay, good job, me.
yeah.
There's tons of paints for everybody, and like I use Pro Krill because I switched to them, and I love their paints. They're fantastic for me. So yeah, I think also like they're built like you said, they're built off Kickstarter. They do Kickstarters normally. Kickstarters are normal for them. That's just a good way to do it. I'm interested to
And they know
see the prices and how it's all gonna break down because I want to try the new paints.
same, and I need more coal black. That's what I need.
Yeah, a lot of I've used a few P3 paints. Like I think I have a coal black. I have the whatever whatever their arcane color for retribution was because they had a color that was like the color for retribution.
Yes,
And then I
arcane.
had
I think it's arcane propulsion.
is it the spell? Oh my lord, hang on.
It
And then
might be.
I had the green cloak that the Dusk mechanics had, or the retribution mechanics used, which I don't remember what that was called. And then I had Blood Tracker Brown. I like that brown. That was good. But like those are the only ones I've ever really used.
Used a lot of frostbite. That is an awesome light blue with pink undertones.
It is funny how like little companies make good light blues.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get it.
And
Like I can't find it. Oh well.
so like I'm excited that
Coming
it's
back.
coming out. I am not excited for the Kickstarter model. Like I understand that's Steamforge's deal in many ways, but I'm just so tired of Kickstarters. Like I have exhaustion
Well, like
on
and
them.
like who was it that like fumbled the bag so hard on their paint Kickstarter?
Oh,
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
it's yeah, it's BAM. It's the same guys that tried to do Riverstone or whatever it was,
Yeah.
Rivenstone. That I still don't have models for.
Nice. But like that's like to do a paint one, I think it's like just risky in itself of a Kickstarters are always not always 100%, and then you're going to do a paint Kickstarter, and like the one paint Kickstarter I can think of is was a terrible launch. So I hope it
I
goes
mean, I
well for
guess
them.
at least there's not a terribly high bar,
That's
right?
true. It's
It's
true.
not
If they
like you're
just
gonna be
deliver on
having to live
time.
up to giants, yeah. Not that I think they'll mess it up. I think from what I've seen, very limited research into Steamforge's Kickstarters in the past, they don't seem to fumble the bag. So,
And they do
I mean,
have the formula and the paint like in hand already. Like they're testing it. Like I
yeah,
know I've seen them.
it's not like they're just now making it up, right?
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, this is again. It's an established paint line that's just sort of restarting itself. And so it's a little different than a traditional Kickstarter from that standpoint. It's Steam Forge games, so it's again a little bit different Kickstarter company than most in terms of trust
Yeah.
and all that. And you have the acquisition. My greater concern would be if we see Kickstarters for like
Armies.
actual War
Or
Machine
armies or
computers.
models. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Which
would
I don't foresee.
I
I
hope.
don't foresee that either, but it puts a little niggle of doubt in your mind when
Yeah.
one of the things that they acquired is P3,
There's
and
a
then
Kickstarter.
to get it back on the shelf, we're gonna go ahead and kickstart it.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
like,
like
oh,
maybe paint's just a higher investment to fix and to make, and that's probably why they have to kickstart it. I don't know. I'm not a
I
businessman.
just think it's part of their business model. Like they know how to, they do a lot of Kickstarters. They know how to do them.
Yeah.
I
I
I think for me, like, look, putting my MBA hat on for this one, I think the reason you kickstart the paint line is it's not your core competency.
yeah, it's
Like
new for you.
it's new for you. You are restarting a brand that has pretty good market presence. Like most people love P3. It's pretty well regarded as a paint, particularly from a blending standpoint. Like it two brush blends the best of any paint on the market. At least it used to.
And that's like
And
very well
my
accepted across
understanding
it.
is that yeah, and my understanding is that it's going to be the exact same formula it was previously, with a higher pigment count than previous. So it should be
Oh,
even
so it should
better.
be even better.
So it should be even better. So there's a lot of good things going with it, but again, it's not your core competency. And of course, there's risk. And Kickstarter allows you one to preload to offset that risk by preloading it, because you're getting orders up front, and so you've got your POs that you need to make sure that this is something that people, one, actually want, and two, will see funding for. The biggest thing for me is that we get it, see it, and then it's a continually available option in retail stores again.
Yeah.
But I know from a store owner standpoint that when you are kickstarting these things, that generally does not sit well with store owners, because it means that you are actively taking sales out of their hands. At least that's the perspective.
Well, that
Generally.
and like even if I'm a store owner and let's say I bulk order or whatever, like I'm ordering way up front for a product that hopefully will get delivered, right?
Right.
Not saying that Steamforge would ever like renege or anything like that on their stuff, but it's a gamble. If I'm looking at it from like a game store owner perspective, which let's be real, like game stores aren't exactly like
Killing it.
cranking in the dough, right? Like that's
No,
not a job you're doing just specifically to make money.
they're always one bad magic set away from closing doors.
Right.
And
So you don't.
yeah, I say with how GW's been doing this year, it's been a struggle bus for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
is there new shenanigans with them? I haven't even kept up.
I saw some stuff earlier this week that was like it was talking about how sales overall, because of the distributor issues and like getting like enough product for people, is like instead of getting like 10 of Lion L. Johnson, they got like 2. And for them to order only
Oh, okay.
2, that's selling the 2 models at their normal price didn't get them enough profits for them to like order it at all, kind of like maybe not order it at all, but like they needed to sell 10 of them, and they know they can sell 10 of them because that's a good, like, GW models just sell, they do, but like they don't have enough to sell is their biggest problem. It's like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were more breaking even instead of making profit.
Yeah. So, because like the miniature portion of it is very interesting when you look at the numbers, but it is generally like that fourth or fifth box of a limited quantity item is really where they start to
Actually
be
make
cash
money.
positive on it. And if you are getting gypped by a distributor, or you order 10, you don't get 10, you get 3, and you have
Yeah.
no control over getting the 10. Like, there's a pecking order sometimes with this, and it just causes some issues for folks, particularly on the GW side, because again, the other bit with it is if you don't sell your allocation, you will not get those allocations again.
And even more so, that like takes sales away, because then a lot of people start losing like a little bit of thought, like, oh, my store might not get this. I have to buy this online because I really want this.
Right.
And then that's no profit to the store, no sale to the store, no person in the store like buying snacks for the games that they're playing. And it's like just double bad for the like your friendly local gaming stores.
Yeah, it's distributor issues are a real thing, and some of the GW business practices are
We could go on for
not
hours on
always the
that.
best.
We
But
could go on for however long you want.
this is not a GW cast. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with the GW Kickstarter for the paint. What's kind of your thought on it?
I hope they have good because Kickstarters are always like the reason you kickstart and the reason a lot of people jump into Kickstarter is because they have good deals. And it's like you're there first, you're there early, you're first promoter. I hope like paint is people have good paint. So to make them buy new paint and like switch a whole paint line for some people who have just been holding out for new P3, good for you. I haven't been holding out for new P3. I switched to Pro Acryl. But for me, I have like 80 Pro Acryl paints. I don't need new paint, but I'm going to hope there's a good entry option for me. And that's what I want for a lot of people. And I think that's what they need to have is so people can be like, I'll throw $20 at this and get 3 paints and try them out.
Yeah.
$20 for 3 is not a good number. Don't that, but those are numbers. But like
I mean, that's GW pricing.
We're not GW here. We are better than that. I hope their prices co-align with like Pro Acryl around like the $4 mark per bottle.
Yeah. Because that's my primary line as well as I'm Pro Acryl at this point.
They're great
Yeah,
paints.
I mean, I'm coming on to Pro Acryl. Jeez Louise. Don't hate me. I am a fanboy of the Empire. All right, I be rocking contrast paint. I be rocking and then I be rocking my army painter. That's kind of been my biggest go-tos in the times of recent.
Even not to meme on Army Painter old paints, because like they weren't the greatest. They were known to be not greatest, but they were still good. But like Army Painter's new Fanatic line is phenomenal from what I'm hearing. Like that's
Dude,
like
I just have the classic like 100 paint box set you get off Amazon.
And that's what I'm saying. Like even you had the old stuff, and people who switched to the new stuff,
I liked it.
It's even better. The Fanatic line is like on par, minus their metals. From what I've seen, is like on par with Pro Acryl. And like that's a big order because like Pro Acryl is like the standard for most people right now.
Yeah.
So I want.
Pro Acryl.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say I want good starter options with more than just red, green, blue. Give me wacky colors as a starter kit. Let me try weird things. Like give me that Retribution blue and like the weird coal black and like all those offshoots that are like not on normal paint lines that I can grab and be like, oh, I like this. I'll use that on that miniature. Because if I can grab it, that's weird, a weird color that I'll use once off, and I like it, that'll make me think when I need to go buy more paint, I'll look at that line too.
See, what I want is them to do, and this is something that P3 did originally as well, is do like 6-bottle box set that is for.
Oh yeah, for the armies.
For the army. If you do a 6-bottle box set for the army that is not outrageously priced, if you get it around that $4 a bottle price point for the 6 bottles, I think that would sell well, and I think that would get a lot of people to buy.
Yeah, like one for their army.
And that's also a super easy product to fill off your website as people are buying, because it's an easy ad to go, oh, we see you're buying winter core. Here's the winter core paint.
100%.
And people would just click that into the box easily. And again, it's the same thing for the store. Store buys the starter, they can buy the paint for said starters and go. And then if people like those, you can start having the individual bottles on sale.
I
as
forgot
well.
about those box sets. Those. I know people loved those, and that's especially for and they're really focusing on new players. That's gonna be like a dope thing. Like buy your 30-point cadre, and then buy your paint set that hopefully includes a brush. I hope that that 6 bottle thing includes a brush, like even just a cheap
Yep.
brush. And then you could be
Yep.
like, this is all you need to play. This is everything. They're like, boom, done. This and super glue.
There's super glue. Maybe some magnets.
That's not happening because of
depending
Europe.
on your well, you have to buy your magnets separately.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
and you're not getting them from Steamforge, but
which is
you
fine.
can
I'm glad they
find
switched away that.
K&J magnets.
Yeah,
Not sponsored.
not sponsored. Can be. Hey, if I don't know if I got any K&J listeners, but go for it. Hit me up. Won't say no. But yeah, I had fun story. I had they gave me too many magnets with my Dusk boxes, so I had a bunch left over. So if for the cricks, I'm like, here you go, Ross. Here's all your magnets, by the way.
Yeah, no, it definitely played right. Like we're gonna be able to pretty much magnetize everything.
This is a good little question about the new cricks. Joe, did you know Hades is only Hades? The arms aren't swappable to the other ones?
Well, it's a
Yes.
different base. Yeah, it's a different chest or a different torso.
Yeah, I know. I just
So-
didn't know. I didn't know it was that different. I didn't know if they'd make the arms swappable, so you could be like 2 heavies out of a Hades and a box.
Yeah, my understanding is the way that they're doing the characters from now on is going to be like the Hades, where it's not swappable to something else.
Fine by me. I mean, I like the different body. I just didn't know if you had known.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Hades was that different. That's good to know.
I'll send you a picture right after this. They are like the body is like actually very different.
But
I mean, it's
like
still Crixy. Like you can definitely
Oh
tell
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Crix, but it is a different sculpt.
Here, I'll just do it right now while we're here.
Yeah, but I like the character Jax being more characterful.
I do too, because then
so-
you don't have to be like king of the painters to make the Jack look like a character Jack, right? It's already built into the model. All you have to do is paint it.
And from a table readability standpoint,
Doesn't blend in as much.
he stands out super well against the regular guy.
And like his tusks are like 3 times the
Oh,
length.
they're
They're
so
so big.
schmexy.
They're huge.
Oh, I love Tusk. It gives me big like old school Chaos Terminator vibes.
Yes.
The
Oh,
tusks
you're
are
so
just
right.
massive.
Yeah, he looks great. Like the new Necrofactorum stuff is just gorgeous.
Absolutely
You'll have to
stunning.
go.
Yeah.
You have to go watch the video. Like, you don't have to watch all of that. I don't care. But go to the very end. There's like a closing segment, and it's like just me like sensory poking the spikes. Because I'm like, oh, that fits my tism. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
we're super
the
stoked to paint 'em.
Raptor just looks so good.
The
like-
Raptors
That's with no
look
head.
incredible.
Yeah, no head, no back, and the Raptor looks awesome.
I really like the triangle. There's a lot of polygons in the new Crix. It's
Mhm.
very kind of steampunky, if you will. I love the triangle vents. I like the triangle guns. I love how the spiker design works. I don't know, dude. I'm absolutely stoked for the new Crix, and I mean I enjoyed the old Crix, but I think the new Crix is going to be even more fun, and I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive than old Crix as well.
Oh, very much
Oh
so.
yeah. I think their glow up is very well deserved, and yeah. Oh, he's so cute.
And that's the Arc Node too. The Arc Node, those Raptors you can bring out for pretty cheap if you're just looking for Arc Nodes.
Oh yeah. As Crick should be able to do. It's kind of your MO is cheap arc nodes, and then of course two killy spells on the rack and Calamity. Good time. It's good times in Crixland.
That it is, and some very schmexy looking models to go with it.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
I think if people took a shot every time you talked about how beautiful Crix is, they would be absolutely
Stop,
blasted
man.
right now.
No.
I'm not
I
saying it's a
like 'em. What
bad
do you want
thing.
from
I'm
me?
just saying it's funny because I've been internally counting. I'd be like, man, I'd be on the floor.
I really like them.
I'm excited.
I think they've
I'm like,
net improved on every model that I currently own. Like, because a lot of it is similar to the previous edition Crix, right? Like Legacy Crix. The Raptors
Yeah.
existed, right? I think they were even still called Raptors, but um, the sculpts are just way better, way better.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah, the
jealous you
sculpt.
get to paint them. Like,
What do you mean? We're gonna. I mean, we'll kind of do it together.
that's true. I'm doing the base coat, but like, I'm like, man, whenever we buy the rest of it, I'm definitely gonna have to paint a few of them.
Yeah, do it. I'm down.
Cool. Does anybody else have any last closing comments before we wrap this up? It's a little longer than our normal episode. I'm kind of a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Any closing thoughts?
Crick's good. Look out for the painting video. It will be coming out.
Next week, probably ish. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get it done this weekend. So.
Yeah.
I look forward to my properly scaled incarnate knights and some new P3 paint to paint them in, as long as the price per bottle is not absurd.
I think that's the least of our worries, thankfully. So, cool. That wraps this up. Tyrants on the Field. Give them a rundown of where they can find you. It'll be posted in the comments below.
Awesome. So you can find me on my YouTube channel, Tyrants on the Field. You can also find me on my podcast, Tyrants on the Field. We are out of the Podbean network, so you can find me there. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple. I'm on all the catchers. And if you have a catcher that I'm not on, let me know, and I will go add myself to it. But yeah, you can find me there, and then I'm always hanging out on the Discords. And if you are part of the Tried and True Discord, I also run a monthly war table league for everybody in the North American time zone. Although we have some Europeans and some Canadians that are also a part of it. But again, part of North America. But we've got a couple Australians that come in and play with us. A couple of Deutsch that come in and play with us. So why don't you come and play with us too every month?
Ross, you totally should. I do. I'm back at it playing. If anybody who wants to just get reps in for any convention, everyone there is super friendly. Like the overall vibe of this is just like to get better at whatever you want, and it's a fantastic thing. I'm glad you've been able to run with it as much as you have been, and it's been great.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely fantastic. I'll definitely have to jump in on that.
Awesome.
Cool. Normal stuff. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Typical YouTube things. Eventually, I'll get this podcast back up on Spotify when I can figure it out because I'm lazy usually. But we will have this on YouTube. I maybe will ask for Tyler's help on that because maybe he knows secrets that I don't. The secrets of the world. But thank you for listening. I'm rambling, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.